You're listening to Tabletop Arcanum, a podcast dedicated to learning and exploring the hobby of tabletop gaming. Your hosts are Justin Taylor and Richard Geese, so sit back and relax as we talk, discuss, and joke our way through the hobby we love so much.
Hello and welcome to Tabletop Arcanum with your hosts,
Justin
and Ricky, and we've heard you're going to GenCon.
Oh, really? I'm going to GenCon?
Well, we're going to GenCon, and by us saying that, that means our listeners, whether they like it or not, are going to GenCon. So they better pack their bags, get ready, and we're going to tell them how to do so.
Or at least tips from, what we learned last year and prior informations.
Yeah. And what to do before we go out there, because last year was my first year. No idea. You took the reins. Did a pretty decent job. So.
Yes. So I guess before we jump into main topic of, so you're going to Gen Con and what to expect, what to prepare, what to do between now and the 85 days I think are left on the clock as we record. So less than 3 months until Gen Con. Let's talk about the roll recap and what we've been playing recently. Do you have anything?
I do, and actually I sent you a picture of it last night because I figured out how to break Harry Potter.
It's true. I didn't want to tell you that secret.
Yeah, it's true, and it drove my girlfriend nuts. It was pretty great because I only had to grab 3 cards in the beginning of the game, and I kind of just kept rolling off of them one after another. And then once I hit that sweet spot, and I got it to do it just right, I could just keep going forever. My girlfriend eventually said, just let me know when it's time for me to do something.
Right. So the real secret to the magic of Harry Potter is that Polyjuice Potion card. Mm-hmm. That clones another ally that you played that turn. So if you get like you said, the right chain of cards, that makes it so easy. You have to get those right cards and buy the right allies in order to start pulling that trick off. But yeah, it works.
Yeah.
It works really well.
You mill through your deck like it's nothing. You keep going. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was my big one. We played some D&D on Saturday, right after Free Comic Book Day. Mm-hmm. Many free comic books, many D&D. Great day. I've picked up a few games here and there of Boss Monster and or Ticket to Ride. Nothing too exciting, but well, no, they still are exciting. They still are a ton of fun, but nothing new, nothing. Typical Ricky.
Yeah. Typical Ricky. So last time we recorded, I was talking about how we had to go into the third attempt at the same stupid scenario in Arkham Horror, the card game. Mm-hmm. We beat it. We beat it well. And didn't really see the ending of that scenario coming. So when we go at it again tomorrow on our LCG night, it'll be very interesting what happens. Spoiler alert, I'm not telling you anything about it. Played several rounds of Scythe. So I kind of got back in a little bit of a Scythe kick, and that was more because of the recent news that dropped. I kind of wanted to, it got the itch to play it a little bit more. We did a local store tournament for Keyforge. It was a sealed deck tournament, but not really sealed because we were using the store's Gamma decks. So every deck had the store's name as part of its name.
Oh, that's very cool.
There's a couple of them, like Hot Galvanized. Lindsay's Garrison was one. There was another one that was the Beast that aims at Lindsay's Garrison. So some of them were just kind of nonsensical, much like most Keyforge. Some of them were very on the point. So it was really neat doing games like that. And the decks worked out pretty well. They were what you expect out of a Keyforge deck. So they were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Then played a couple more rounds of Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth. Got through a couple more scenarios in that one. So I've now seen the regular journey map version of the board, plus the battle map, for lack of a better term, where it's a little bit more combat heavy. Both are really interesting, and I like the fact that the game kind of flops you from one type of scenario to the other, so you don't really get washed out on the same type of scenario.
Okay.
played a little bit of Game of Thrones, the card game. Followed with a little bit more Keyforge that next LCG night. Just that's what people wanted to play. It was more a competitive night, so had a little bit of fun with that. And then, sadly, that was like, it's almost been a week since I played something. Just been busy. Like you said, we had D&D. Avengers Endgame was out there, so kind of had to make time for a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
So
it was a great movie.
I had a lot of fun with it. It's everything I wanted it to be for being a fan of the series for 11 years, so still processing some of it.
Yeah.
And then we'll see where Spider-Man Far From Home takes it next.
Yeah.
Because that'll be the next movie in 2 months.
Yeah.
So that's a roll recap. On to our news.
Well, with news, it's not a whole lot of news. We're kind of gearing up for Origins. You did say that there is a modular board coming out for Scythe.
Right. So later this summer, there'll be a modular tile-based board for Scythe where it's not the same map every time. Because right now it's a printed board. Nothing changes between games. So one of the community things was, why don't we develop some sort of like tile-based board and can kind of mix it up every once in a while. So the designer kind of went back at the game and figured out a way to do that. So we're going to be getting that next. And that might be the kind of the last piece of Scythe that we're going to get that's totally new. Asmodee announced that they're doing a print company now. So a lot of the IP, like I'm suspecting the like Legend of the Five Ring novellas that they've been publishing, the Arkham Horror novellas that they've been publishing, the Android novellas that they've published a little bit. All of those are probably going to end up on that platform. Maybe stock levels will be a little bit more consistent and not sell out instantly, and then we have to wonder if they'll ever be reprinted ever again.
Or go to our old friend eBay and tell them how bad we really want it, because people sell that stuff for disgusting amounts of money.
That is true. But yeah, I think news-wise, things are a little bit on the quieter side for now. Next month is Origins, so I'm anticipating a lot more stuff coming in about a month once Origins hits, and then 2 months after that is going to be where a lot of things are announced and released at GenCon. So it'll be good. As far as the Kickstarter Corner, the only one that I'm fully Cultist Storm came back. They relaunched. They revamped the entire campaign on Kickstarter, so definitely take a look at it. It's pretty interesting because it's a little bit more modular. You don't have to go in. The first scenario was like an all-in or nothing. So it was a hefty buy-in for a game that you're not even sure on. So good news there that they kind of went back and revamped it a little bit.
And there was news about Kickstarter. Kickstarter has officially reached $1 billion in games backed. So
I believe it.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Lots of indie people or indie developers finally getting their stuff out.
1 billion.
1 billion.
See, and now I'm thinking of some of the campaigns I was part of that were not necessarily like 1 billion, but for example, Cthulhu Wars, Onslaught 3 breached like $1
billion in 2018. I apologize.
Ooh. Yeah, that would make more sense.
Yeah.
Cthulhu Wars was part of that, as that was like 1 million on its own.
Yeah.
So there are some really, really big Kickstarters out there, and then there's a lot of other ones that are just out there.
Which are fun, because we found some smaller ones that are great. But
Van Ryder Games is actually running one right now.
Which one are they running? Are they running Hostage?
Final Hostage Negotiator. It's a Hostage Negotiator career. For those who aren't familiar with Hostage Negotiator, it's kind of a push your luck dice game. Solo game, though. So you're just playing against yourself and in the scenario with the different terrorists or whatever situation that you come across as you're a police negotiator. Trying to save the innocent hostages and take down the bad guy, if you will. career turns it into more of a campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So where you're going to start off really easy, and then you're going to progress in your career. And if you're successful, you get accolades. If you're not successful, you're going to get like dark marks on your record.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks really interesting. They have several different pledge levels, which I like. Like if you have everything already, they got a basic pledge level of like, here's the new stuff. Already have some of it, here's more, and then add-ons and such. So I'll probably be looking a little bit more into that. One thing they do have that I kind of like, I like the game right now because it's very easy to pack and take solo and on the road. But they are adding like a game mat, and I'm a little bit of a sucker for those because I like a mat that has a layout that I can actually like place the cards on. I have a few mats. Don't look at them.
I'm looking at about like, I'd say at least 30 mats.
Oh, no, not 30. That's maybe a dozen.
It's not a dozen.
That's a dozen.
There's a bunch of them rolled up there. Don't you lie to me, Justin. Don't you lie to our fans. They deserve the truth.
If you say it's not 30, you can walk home with this unopened Fallout mat.
I don't even have the game, but okay.
So, that's a little bit on Kickstarter, at least what I've seen so far. I know there's definitely more out there. There's always projects coming and going, so it's kind of hard to keep full tabs on them. So, why don't we talk about GenCon?
Let's talk about GenCon. Let's do this.
Okay.
So, if you're unaware, the event catalog just released.
Mm-hmm.
So that came out on Sunday the 5th.
Mm-hmm.
And what essentially happens is they release the event catalog for us to take a look through, to get a feel of what is out there. You'll see a lot of the same things from year to year. Fantasy Flight will do their in-flight check-in.
Yeah, they'll do the in-flight report.
Or in-flight report.
Yeah.
You'll see the same event. You'll see like your Star Wars, Legion,
all the
X-Wing,
major
all that.
games have their competitive events that are going on. But yeah, you log into the GenCon website. And most importantly about that whole fact is, once you have your badge purchase, you can start creating a wish list, and you prioritize that wish list. And you want to do that now, because when event registration actually opens at noon Eastern on May 19th, you essentially tell the system, submit my wish list. It's going to potentially crash, take a long time, but eventually, in theory, it'll process it and spit you back of, these are the tickets that you can buy.
Mm-hmm.
So, make sure you prioritize your events into, like, the things you really want need to be at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of them close out very fast. Like the Arkham Horror event last year shut out almost instantly.
Mm-hmm. We had people, when we were actually at the event, trying to buy our tickets off of us because they
couldn't get them.
Yeah, they couldn't get them.
So, it's a little bit of a lottery, but there are a couple things you can do to make sure your chances are a little bit more successful. If there is a particular event you like, for example, you really want to get into one of the Star Wars RPGs. Mm-hmm. There's multiple time slots. You could put multiple different time slots on your wish list and see which one you get spit back at you. One thing I would definitely suggest is there is a lot to do at GenCon. Mm-hmm. Way more than you have time for. Don't fill your days. Don't have a day that you're going from event to event to event to event to event until the end of the day. You're going to kill yourself. There's not going to be time for moving from one place to the other because it's not small. So
it's not small and it's jam-packed. So you try getting somewhere and you're walking at a snail's pace.
Right.
The other thing I would suggest too, I mean, that was a great point because we had one day where we had, not necessarily back-to-back, we gave ourselves like an hour between events.
Right.
And I think that was our Friday, and we were just dead afterwards. Mm-hmm. Like, we had hit the bed early and just passed out. But if you are going with friends and want to do these events with friends, make sure to connect your profiles on the website.
Right.
So that one person can say, hey, me and this person want to do this event. These are the times we're looking at. And then it can match you up and say, okay, well, we've got 2 tickets available to this time and this time.
Right. So the way you do that is essentially you have to know each other's email addresses. On my profile, I'd punch in your email address. It makes you do it twice just so you don't fat finger anything. And then it submits an automatic email to that email saying, hey, Justin wants to friend you on our system. Once you accept it, then the accounts are semi-linked to the point that you can buy event tickets for each other. So this is how I was able to make sure that we got to the Arkham Horror event together, or we did an RPG together.
Or like when we did the True Dungeon, we had 10 people. Yeah, so it's nice just to have the 10 people all in one. Say, okay, we need tickets for 10 people instead of saying individually go in and then accidentally get split off into different groups.
Right. So if you actually want to game with your friends or a small group of friends, definitely friend each other through the system and have one person work on buying them. The downside to that is that one person has to upfront the funding, and most of the events do cost money. Depends on what it is. Some of the tournament stuff, like Fantasy Flight runs, that's anywhere between, I think, $20 to $50 for an event. Now, normally you get a lot of stuff, promos, prizes, etc. You get stuff for just participating, and then if you do well enough, you'll get even more stuff. So, and typically, like the $50 events are your Legend of the Five Ring tournament, your major X-Wing tournaments. Those are pretty much all-day events. So you are kind of getting your time and monies out of them, but just heads up, that's $50.
Yeah.
Now, the RPGs tend to be a little bit like 10 or less, like $4, $6 or the ones I saw on those. And then the other thing is there's a lot of seminars. Most of those are free. Just make sure you have your ticket. You can that kind of make sure they have a head count because the room can only hold 100 people, so they only let in 100 tickets. But there's a lot of good stuff there. You can get seminars on painting. You can get seminars on how to DM, character development, podcasting seminars.
So hopefully we're going to get better.
We're going to learn what we're doing wrong, which is so much sometimes.
It's mostly me. It's okay. Let's be honest. I only have so much charm I can exude.
It's because they can't see you.
Yeah. My mom did say I had a face for a radio, but... Oh,
yeah.
I just got that.
Hey, look. It's a puppy.
Yeah. The art of podcasting. You could say, hey, look, it's anything, and the listener has to believe it.
Right. So, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff you can do at GenCon. Build your time windows for lunch. Build time windows for the event, the exhibitor hall, because it's huge. What I usually will say, what we did last year is we hit the hall at least a little bit each day. Like day 1 was like scoping it out and just taking it all in. Day 2 we kind of focus in like, oh, we didn't get to see this area or that area. Or if we split up, like you saw something that like, hey, check this out, this was really cool. Or I did that a couple times. Day 1 when it opens, it is a madhouse rush. Because there's a lot of games that are launching, a lot of games that are on sale early, and people go and grab them.
Yeah.
There is a coupon book.
You get all kinds of free fun stuff.
Again, a lot of it's while supplies last or whatever, but use it.
Yeah.
What was the other thing? Your event tickets. So I would strongly advise that there is an option when you register for your events that you can pay. I think it was
$10.
It was like $10 last year. It wasn't like an insignificant amount of money, but I could pay to have them ship the tickets to me before GenCon.
You have to ask yourself, is $10 worth 3 hours of your time, give or take? Because unless you're going...
The event line to get your tickets at GenCon is long.
Disgustingly long.
When we got there Wednesday, but Thursday when most people were starting to show up and we were like checking out the hall and going to our first events and like we saw the line and we're like, where's this go? And we literally followed it to the end and it was just like this, it never ended line.
Yeah. And it was not moving.
No. Definitely. So, and I feel bad for those workers and volunteers that were down there running that because that was just nonstop for hours for them too.
Yeah.
Running around, grabbing everyone's badges, grabbing everything. It's worth the convenience fee. 100%. If you can pitch in that extra little $10 or whatever to get the thing shipped to you, do it. Now, the one trick I did find out is they are open at almost all hours. And when I was there Wednesday night, we did the in-flight report. Then I met up with a buddy to play Battlestar Galactica. You were exhausted, so you ended up going back to the house.
I just checked to make sure I actually had my badge sent to me because I just thought about that. I'm like, oh no.
Right.
Yeah, no, I was exhausted. Well, I mean, granted, by the time that Thursday night.
Well, it was like we traveled.
I worked, we traveled.
You worked, we traveled, and then we got down there, did the in-flight report, had to find the house that we were in. Things like the whole day of travel and settling. It just takes a little wind out of you. And then I played Battlestar Galactica till like 2 or 3 in the morning. When I went downstairs to get a lift over to where we were staying, the event registry was there, or the event tickets were there, and there was not a soul in sight. I pretty much walked up, showed them my ID. They got me the few tickets that I got after the fact, after I had ordered the bunch of them. We added a couple of events in the end.
Yeah.
And I picked them up there because I'm like, I'll just get will call whenever time it's convenient because those were like Saturday or Sunday events. They were like much later in the con, so it wasn't a big deal. Yeah, there was no one there at like 2, 3 in the morning. If you're awake at 2 or 3 in the morning, go get your tickets then. If you don't want to pay the shipping fee. So, a couple ways you could do it.
Yeah.
I say the shipping fee is probably...
I think I had tickets in my name too for a few events, and we just never picked them up because there was no reason. We
couldn't get to them.
Yeah. It's like the next day we had like a seminar, and it's like, okay, we'll go stand in line, show up in the line again. It's like 2-3 hours long, and...
The one thing I do like about the event catalog is if you just click into it, it is order of events, like timeline-wise, starting with Wednesday, and then it rolls all the way down. You can keyword search, so if you want to look for a particular game, you can just type that in. Like if you're looking for a Pathfinder game, you can type in Pathfinder, it will spit up everything that has the word Pathfinder in it. You can also filter it by category, game, what day, what time, who's hosting it. So category is a really good one I like personally because like maybe I want seminars. Oh, I hit the seminar and I can see all the seminars. Kind of help filter the things that you're not looking for at that time because there is currently 14,000 events listed on the website right now.
Yep.
And they're not even all up yet.
Yeah.
I only know that because I have some friends who are big onto Legend of the Five Rings and are planning on doing the L5R event. Legend of the Five Rings and Keyforge are not going to be hosted by Fantasy Flight directly this year. They have Cascade Games who have been doing some of their major events, running it again because they did the events at Adepticon. That was the company and store that was running them at Adepticon too for them. So they're kind of handling those events so that X-Wing, Legion, Game of Thrones, so many other events that they have to run. I think this is how they split it off. According to the Fantasy Flight organized play, the events have been submitted by Cascade, but they didn't make the catalog yet. They should be up within the next 2 weeks. So you'll be able to add them and get in there. Just keep in mind that if you search for Fantasy Flight games, you may not find them. You might have to search for Legend of the Five Rings or something else to be able to do that. Other weird events that are going on. There's bar crawls that you want to do. There is historicals, not historicals. They have kids activities. The fun one that I always kind of find that's a little interesting is the spouse activities. Mm-hmm. And I find it fun because it's, okay, I'm a gamer, my wife isn't that big on things. But if I wanted to go to GenCon because I want to take the family, the wife, kids, and the one kid is very into gaming, they're with me, let's go do stuff. Mm-hmm. But then the other child and the wife or spouse or significant other, whatever, isn't that deep. They have non-gamer-ish things. And I've talked to people who've done these. They have a blast because it's... they have like yoga classes, things like that, how to make cupcakes, but they'll like D&D theme the cupcakes.
I was picked up a knitting one last year. So that just, it looks like a lot of
how to
fun.
crochet, how to knit. Like, I think the crocheting one, you make dice bags.
Oh, that's
like,
cool. Yeah.
It's stuff that is related to Gen Con, but a hobby that may not be your normal gamer hobby. Mm-hmm. So it's always worth checking out because it's neat. I just looked at one here. Beginner Ballroom Tango.
Huh.
Learn to tango at Gen Con. So, lots and lots and lots of options. So yeah, you can go by category, electronic games or RPGs. There's going to be a lot. True Dungeon is huge.
We did it last year, and we were very upset when we left, but then afterwards, I know I had a fun time once I sat down and processed what happened.
I had an okay time, personally. Mm-hmm. Most of our group was upset because I think the group's expectations were off. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what kind of put a sour note because everyone thought it was going to be this, and it turned out to be that. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't really beginner friendly. I did find that there is True Dungeon seminars, like True Dungeon 101. If you haven't done True Dungeon before, I would actually suggest sitting in one of those seminars.
Yeah.
Get your feet wet, because it's a whole nother world. I know people who play it a lot, and it rewards you with the time and effort that you put into it. Mm-hmm. Is really what I've noticed. If you dive deep, you're going to get a lot more out of it than someone who's like, oh, let me check this out.
It's a D&D escape room where you get gear, and you get to bring the gear, depending on what one that you go to, with you from game to game. So the more you play, the more gear you get. And you can actually even stop into the dealer's hall, and they have booths that have thousands of those, thousands of pieces of gear for you to pick up and take with you. So,
yeah. So if you haven't done it before, the sealed quests is what they call them. They tend to be on the cheaper side, and you can't bring anything that you already have with you. Everything you get is in that event, so it's really beginner friendly in that standpoint. But you still kind of need to know what you're getting into to understand how to play. And they kind of walk you through a tutorial, but it's because of how fast paced the game is. It's pretty rushed, and I think that's what didn't help our group either, of being 100% 10 brand new, never before done players was our issue. And I know we talked about this on the Gen Con episodes that we started, episode 1, episode 2. So we're retreading a little bit more ground here, but
yeah, it's worth it if you're going to jump into it. Just be a little bit more prepared than we were. I think we even said, "Oh, did any of you guys read the manual?" And some people even said there was a manual, and that just opened us up to, "Oh, this is how it's going to go." Okay.
Yeah. So board game, anime, film fest. It's Gen Con. There's everything.
There's a little bit of everything for everyone. So outside of the events, if you were looking for lodging, I would suggest right now, as you're listening, as whenever, just log in every day. Me and Justin, our original room was
3 blocks.
3 blocks.
It was 3 blocks away from the convention center, so it was a little bit of a walk, but not terrible.
And then last month, I just happened to log in, and now we have a room that's kitty corner to the convention center itself. So instead of having to walk those 3 blocks, we can take the skywalk. We can literally just walk outside, cross the street, and we're there. So it does pay off to keep an eye on that, because you pay almost the same amount of money as if you were staying a few blocks away.
Yeah.
It may be like $100 or $2 off,
it's
depending.
not a huge price savings.
Yeah.
The only time you're going to get the actual price savings if you're like miles away.
Yeah.
And then you have to figure out how to get there. You're either Ubering there and back, which I do suggest Uber and Lyft and the rideshare programs for that, because it's cheaper than finding parking.
Yeah. Parking's disgustingly expensive. The only downside to that is if someone decides that that's the proper time to pick up broken token, their broken token orders.
50 pounds of broken token balsa.
Yeah.
Let's carry it all day.
Yeah. They do not give you bags that are well equipped to carry that all day. But like we had a friend who was 7 miles away. Now he's going to be staying 3 blocks away. So definitely keep looking. If you are staying far away, make sure to check. I believe GenCon last year had an agreement with Lyft.
Yes.
They gave you a code, and that code got you, I think, like $5 off a certain amount of rides or something like that.
It was like $5 off 4 rides. It wasn't anything drastic, but it helped.
Yeah, and it was nice. It was definitely nice.
General con tips, I would say comfortable shoes. Because you're going to be on your feet all day and walking around all day. And walking around all day. I can't say with my pedometer. I want to say, I think 12,000 steps may have been our shortest day.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a short day. I was doing like 20 to 30.
Yeah, like I want to say upper teens to 20K steps was normal.
For our largest,
and that was probably Wednesday.
Yeah,
where we sat in the car driving half the day.
Yeah, for our larger set friends, as myself, baby powder. Trust me, that it's hot out. It is hot out. It is hot out. Water, definitely water.
Whether it's a water bottle that you bring along with you and carry around, backpack camel packs. We had one friend that was utilizing one of those. We had one friend using one of those, and it was great for him. Some sort of backpack carrying
some
device.
Sort of comfortable bag.
You do get like the tote bags and stuff. However, as someone had just reminded me a little bit ago, they're not usually well equipped for carrying decently sized or heavy-ish objects like balsa wood or your heftier board games, and it's going to strain your fingers. So if you got a bag or something with you, it helps. Some sort of,
like any kind of bag, either a messenger bag or anything like that, something that you can sling over yourself. Just remember that it's hot if you're going to be outside. It's end of July, early August. Yeah, that sun's going to be beating down on you.
However, the food trucks that they park outside, there's some great street food. There's some great restaurants in the area. Just note that there is so many con goers that those places are packed at almost all hours.
Yeah.
If you're willing to put a little more walk, a little bit more distance between you and the convention center for a meal, it lightens up a little bit because everyone's trying to get something quicker. But a lot of good food.
Lots and lots of good food. Good pierogies.
Yes, that pierogi food truck, I really hope it's there this year. Yes. It's the only thing I actually went back and got more than once last year.
Yeah.
And I'll be kind of crying in a corner somewhere if I don't see them again.
We need some pierogies.
Yeah.
That's so good. Don't stress yourself out.
No.
Don't, the heat and everything is going to take a lot out of you. So if you're trying to run back and forth and you're trying to go outside,
right.
Take care of yourself.
Don't stress yourself out for that chase game either. You might have that one object or that one thing that you do want, and you know what? Go for it. keep in mind that, don't beat yourself up if you didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Twilight Imperium 4th edition came out. They only sold so many, and if you didn't get it, you didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Clank in Space was another GenCon release. The games come out, it's usually 2 to 3 months later.
Mm-hmm.
If it's an early sale. You can, pre-order at your friendly local game store. They'll be able to get it for you.
Mm-hmm.
You just may have to wait. But don't stress out over that. If you score that unique or early release, great.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to play Twilight Imperium 2 months early because a friend of mine who was there scored it.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I loved playing it. And then that made me more excited and made sure my purchase for a $150 MSRP game.
Yeah.
I knew what I was getting into, and I knew I was going to probably like it anyway, but we played 4th edition early with his copy, and I went, oh yeah.
I would also suggest, if there is a chase game that you're looking for, go and find the developer on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Of course, after you look up Tabletop Arcanum and all three of those, because we have a presence in all three.
This is true.
But, like, a lot of times Fantasy Flight, like Adepticon, Chicago, Star Wars Celebration Chicago, they would post when they were sold out of things, but then also let you know, okay, so for Adepticon, we only had 100 of the
Vulture droids.
The Vulture droid, special edition Vulture droids a day. So they would let you know that, hey, you may come, we may be sold out, show up tomorrow.
Right.
You are more than likely to be able to score one if you show up the next day or something. You know where you have to go, you know where you need to be. It makes it a little bit easier on you. I know Fantasy Flight, the first day that we went, the lines were just disgusting. To get in, just to their booth.
You're talking GenCon or Adepticon?
GenCon, I'm sorry, GenCon.
Okay, yeah.
They were disgusting to get in. It was like a good hour and a half wait to get into Fantasy Flight.
However, that was X-Wing 2.0. Mm-hmm. Like, that was a huge release for them. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people were trying to get it.
And not surprisingly, I mean, Fantasy Flight were great about that. We went the day after. I mean, we went... Mm-hmm. We could have gotten it Thursday. We went through. We didn't really pick up much on Thursday, I don't think.
Thursday was a scout day for us. We didn't. Yeah. Because we had an event that we didn't see the opening of the event hall. Mm-hmm. Or we had an event going on. I think we were playing Arkham, actually.
Yeah.
If I remember right. So we didn't get into the vendor hall at open. So any of those chase games we just didn't have a chance at because we weren't there. Not that yeah, whatever. Mm-hmm. It's a whatever thing to me.
Yeah. And so, I mean, everyone was excited about Star Wars 2.0, but the thing is, we showed back up Friday, we showed back up Saturday. Saturday, it only took us maybe like 15 minutes to get in.
Right.
And they still had a ton of them. Sunday, they were finally sold out, but they had that many. They know they're going to sell a ton. They brought a ton.
There's going to be certain games like that. Mm-hmm. X-Wing was last year's. This year, I think Pathfinder... It's going to be the big game because Pathfinder 2.2nd edition or 2.0, whatever you want to call it, is coming out August, which means they're going to sell it at GenCon. I'm 90% sure they're going to have a ton of books. And not only is the main core book coming out, this is actually one of the biggest RPG launches because there's the main book, the bestiary, your GM screen, your character sheet folio, your condition card box, a starter adventure set, the first of the adventure path set, and I'm drawing a blank. I think there's one more. It is legitimately like 6 or 7 different SKUs. And the core book and the bestiary. That's what it is. The World Guide. I forgot about the World Guide. Yeah, there's a lot coming out at once for this to support this new edition. It's really good, and I'm sure they're going to have stock on most of that. Some things may be a little bit less, like they may not bring a lot of, like an overabundance of like the the character sheets, or they may not bring overabundance of the condition cards, because if you think about it, everybody's going to buy those things, but
you don't need it to play. Here,
I'm going to, bet they're going to have more core rule books than what is like reasonable. Now, just like Fantasy Flight with X-Wing last year, they may sell out by Sunday. But if you don't get it first hour Thursday, you're not going to be necessarily out of luck on something like that.
Yeah.
There's other games, smaller publishers, smaller developers. Those are the ones that are going to be a little bit more hard to come by. The other thing is there's usually announcements all the way up until the week before GenCon. Even the days of GenCon, there might be an announcement. Keep an eye on the news feeds, your Twitters, your Facebooks, your Instagram, because that's where a lot of this stuff is going to be dropping. And a lot of the major review sites usually get embargo where they can't even talk about it until X date, and then they'll release all their content on that X date. Hopefully one day that'll be us. But
maybe someday. We'll keep at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's like other thing too. Our Talisman did the Witcher pen and paper RPG.
Yes.
And we have a friend who was obsessed with it.
Yes.
We went the first 2 days and couldn't get it. The third day I finally got it because they were only selling
so many copies per day. Yeah. That's a fun company.
Yeah. And a lot of publishers will know that, if we're going to have a 4-day event, someone's going to buy a Saturday pass or a Sunday pass, and we want to make sure that if they come out that they can get something. And they're going to keep releasing stuff or releasing information all the way leading up to it. I wouldn't be surprised if news is going to be a little tight after Origins be a little tight.
Origins in June, mid-June to mid-July, I think it's going to be kind of a quiet time. And then we're going to ramp up like 2 weeks prior to GenCon, and then like even the week of GenCon, there'll be announcements all over the place. Yeah. So we'll try to keep up on it and keep you up to date as best we can. So keep an eye on all that. Any other final thoughts on GenCon other than go have a good time?
Take a damn shower, you hippie.
Hygiene. It's important.
It's very important. Some people can bring tears to your eyes.
Yeah, I won't be cutting up onions near you anymore. The other note on that is, shower, hygiene, those are all good things. Have a battery backup for your phone, or don't expect to have self-service at all times, because
I didn't have self-service the entire time I was in the
actual. It's a lot of people and a lot of usage. So you may or may not have self-service. You may have to step outside the building or near walls.
You have Verizon. You're able to get decent service.
I was pretty okay most of the time.
I had no service with T-Mobile anywhere within the convention center. The moment I took a step outside, perfectly fine.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
So, that's the Tabletop Arcanum GenCon tips. So you're going to GenCon.
So you're coming with us to GenCon.
We don't have enough room for everybody.
Shh, we're just going to use them for the ride.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So, next episode we'll be talking Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth.
I'm pretty pumped.
The new Fantasy Flight app-based adventure game. So stay tuned. We'll be talking about that and going a little bit more pros, cons, what you like, what you don't like, and giving you at least what we feel.
Till next time, guys.
Keep showering.
Please.
You've been listening to Tabletop Arcanum, hosted by Justin Taylor and Richard Geese, and featuring the original music by Paul Moore and Isaac Gilbert. You can follow us on most social media platforms. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a review on whatever platform you listen to podcasts. As always, thanks for listening.